I was the Burger King girl. I did a lot of commercials. I sort
Okay.
of slowly learned my way into it.
These were the people who felt woven into your own life through summer blockbusters and those classic Friday nights at the cinema. Elisabeth Shue was a total 80s icon. Eventually, she just kind of vanished from the public eye. What is the real story there? That is exactly what we are going to uncover today. Do you remember Elisabeth Shue? This is her journey, starting with her ambitious Jersey route. Born on October 6, 1963, in Delaware, she was raised in South Orange. Growing up as the only girl among three brothers, she became incredibly competitive and focused. Growing up, she held her own in soccer with her brothers and excelled in gymnastics. By high school in Jersey, she was constantly pushing herself to the max. At 9, her world split when her parents split up. To cope, she poured all that energy into being the best at everything she touched. She shared a tight bond with her older brothers. Those relationships would eventually define the highest peaks and deepest valleys of her entire journey. Athletics were her natural element. Whether on the street or the pitch, she played hardball with the boys and never backed down once. By the time she hit high school, she was an elite gymnast with her sights set on the state championships. The grit she learned from training, understanding that success is earned, not given, stayed with her forever. Hollywood, as she found out, demanded that exact same hustle. Upon graduating in 1981, she headed off to Wellesley, one of the most prestigious colleges for women in the country. While scraping together cash for college, she fell into the world of TV ads. Soon, she was pitching everything from Burger King to De Beers Diamonds. Back then, it was just a paycheck, but it was secretly the start of something much bigger. By 1985, she was studying politics at Harvard, even as her Hollywood opportunities began to skyrocket. Eventually, she had to pick a path and chose the screen, leaving Harvard just one semester before she would have graduated. Leaving school early would bug her until she finally got that degree years later. But first, she landed the part that made her famous, the Karate Kid. In 1984, she made her real big screen debut. It just happened to be one of the most iconic films of the whole decade. John G. Avildsen directed the classic, starring Ralph Macchio as a Jersey kid trying to survive a new high school in sunny California. She played the popular cheerleader Allie Mills, who saw something special in the new kid from the wrong side of town. As first gigs go, she hit the jackpot. The movie was not just a hit at the box office, it became a total cultural phenomenon overnight. Everyone loved it, and her character, Allie Mills, became an 80s legend. She was the sweet, no-nonsense girl that everyone was rooting for. Looking back, it is wild that she never saw this coming. She later admitted that the cast had zero clue the movie would blow up like that. Even the cast found the title a bit silly at the time, laughing about it years after the fact. None of that mattered once the public saw it, and suddenly, everyone knew her name. That same year, she also starred in a television drama called Call to Glory, playing a daughter in a military family. A brief TV stint proved she could handle any medium. More importantly, her big screen success kicked open doors in Hollywood much faster than she ever imagined. Suddenly, every casting director in town was calling. She was no longer just a lucky face from commercials. She was a legitimate movie star in the making. After years of balancing school and small gigs, this was the big break she needed. She hired a coach, moved to Harvard, and never slowed down. We spend so much time chasing happiness, but sometimes you need to experience the weight of deeper emotions. By the late 80s, she was building a real legacy. Post-Karate Kid, she stayed busy without burning out. Then, in 1987, she starred in Chris Columbus's classic comedy, Adventures in Babysitting. She starred as Chris Parker, a sitter whose boring night turns into a wild, dangerous chase through the heart of downtown Chicago. The movie was pure charm, and she carried the entire story with an effortless grace. It turned into a quintessential 80s flick. Now, parents share it with their kids just to relive those cozy, nostalgic vibes from back in the day. In 1988, she played opposite Tom Cruise in Cocktail. Her character was the steady emotional core for his flashy, high-speed bartender. Cocktail killed at the box office. Critics were split, but her performance provided some much-needed soul to a movie that mostly focused on flashy tricks. She gave depth to a role that could have been simple, just before she joined the Back to the Future franchise. By 1989, she took over as Marty McFly's girlfriend in Back to the Future. It was a simple part, but exactly what she needed then. Most of her scenes involved her being passed out, yet she gave it her all. She actually had a deeply personal reason for choosing this smaller gig. Tragedy struck in 1988 when her brother William died during a family trip. He was 26 and just starting medical school at Rutgers. He was only 26 and a medical student when a tire swing failed, a tragedy witnessed by her brother Andrew. Heartbroken, she chose the Jennifer Parker role specifically because it was low pressure. It gave her the necessary room to breathe and process her grief. Years later, she would name her first son after William, finishing those sequels between 1989 and 1990. By the end of that shoot, she had a career most people would envy, yet she was still looking for more. People often dismiss her early years as just the girl next door phase, but she was secretly hungry for a role that would prove her talent. She epitomized that specific archetype, yet a hidden depth simmered beneath her friendly exterior, a restless spark poised to ignite in the following years. Entering the early 90s, life slowed down as she hit a major crossroads. This era served as a bridge for Elisabeth, marked by a string of minor movie roles. She stayed busy with projects like Soap Dish and The Marrying Man in 1991, followed by 20 Bucks and Heart and Souls. However, that massive hit remained elusive. Despite keeping a full schedule, the scripts failed to test her true limits. Seeking a fresh challenge, she pivoted back to theater during this stretch. Her Broadway journey kicked off in May 1990 with Some Americans Abroad at Lincoln Center. By 1993, she took the stage again in Tina Howe's play Birth and Afterbirth. These stage performances felt vital, offering a sanctuary to refine her acting chops, far from the lens and Tinseltown's box office demands. Live theater required a unique raw energy that cinema lacks, demanding a constant presence where mistakes cannot be hidden by an editor's touch. She was an artist who lived for the process, valuing the raw honesty of a single moment over any final trophy or paycheck. This rigorous training connected her with hardcore professionals who viewed acting as a sacred craft. Meanwhile, a quiet storm was gathering strength inside her. Determined to find a role that would push her to the brink, her search finally paid off in 1995. Having grown up competing on all-male sports teams, she was ready for the grit of Leaving Las Vegas, the film that redefined her career. To see what she can really do, look at Leaving Las Vegas. It was a gritty, low-budget indie film directed by Mike Figgis. In 1995, she played a streetwalker opposite Nicolas Cage's alcoholic writer. Together, they formed a heartbreaking, incredibly raw bond on screen. The part was anything but pretty. Her character was a survivor finding a strange, beautiful comfort in another soul who was also slowly fading away. She had to tap into some dark, uncomfortable places that most stars, especially those with her sweet image, would have avoided like the plague. She went all in. The director used 16mm film to give the movie a dirty, realistic look that matched the intensity of their performances perfectly. Working with limited funds and a frantic pace, the team lacked the luxury of a typical big studio safety net. Every single frame felt authentic, because they portrayed two broken people who had finally given up on the idea of being rescued by anyone. Cage took home the Oscar, while Elisabeth's haunting performance earned her nominations for every major trophy, from the Golden Globes to the Screen Actors Guild. Her performance swept the awards circuit, earning her top honors from major critics groups and the Independent Spirit Awards for Best Actress. This breakthrough transformed her professional identity, proving she was a powerhouse artist rather than just a commercial starlet. She gambled on a tiny film with zero hype and created something iconic. Humble as ever, she claimed she was just lucky to get the role. She realized heavy parts like this rarely go to non-A-listers, so she grabbed it with both hands. Thus began her era of total reinvention. After that Oscar buzz, Hollywood finally saw her differently. The scripts got deeper, more diverse, and finally pushed her to show her true range. 1996 saw her lead The Trigger Effect, a high-tension drama exploring how societal collapse impacts the average person. That same year, she held her ground against heavyweights like Robin Williams and Billy Crystal in the film Deconstructing Harry. Shifting gears in 1997, she played a genius scientist in the high-stakes espionage thriller The Saint alongside Val Kilmer. The movie performed well, confirming that she could carry a blockbuster just as effectively as an intimate drama. By the late 90s, she explored her darker side in the noir film Palmetto and shared the screen with Jessica Lange and Kuzan Bet. In 1999, she delivered a sensitive performance as an autistic woman living with her brother in the drama Molly. Two major milestones arrived in the year 2000. One was the sci-fi hit Hollow Man, which dominated the summer box office. The other achievement was far more intimate, as Elisabeth finally returned to Harvard University to finish what she started. After walking away just one term shy of a degree 10 years prior, she graduated in June 2000 with a degree in political science. At 36, this wasn't about fame or publicity. It was about honoring a promise she made to herself years ago. It highlighted her integrity, showing she was the type of person who follows through on her obligations, even without an audience. Think about it. At 36, she had the fame, the family, and the Oscar nod. She could have just coasted on her success forever. Finishing her degree was not for her resume, it was for her soul. It showed her true character, a woman who never leaves a job half done. She believes in doing things right or not at all. It is like a practice session where you suddenly decide to play for keeps. Behind the scenes, she found love with director Davis Guggenheim after meeting at a casual industry bowling night back in 1994. Guggenheim eventually achieved massive acclaim himself, winning an Oscar for his 2006 documentary, An Inconvenient Truth. The couple raised 3 kids, including their son Miles, born in 1997 and named in honor of her brother who passed away. Their family grew with the arrival of Stella in 2001, followed by their youngest daughter, Agnes, in 2006. They opted for a quiet life out of the spotlight, choosing genuine connection over the hollow glitz of Hollywood gossip. They settled down in Delaware, where she spends her free time on the tennis courts. By 2007, they collaborated on a passion project, Gracie. The movie tells the story of a girl who loses her brother and fights for a spot on the boys' soccer team to honor him. The plot mirrored her own family's trauma after losing William. Her husband directed, while she and her brother Andrew both took roles in the film. With her brother John co-producing, it was a total family affair. It was not a blockbuster, but for her, it was the most important work ever. As the 2000s began, she pivoted away from the high-stakes world of cinema to embrace the burgeoning creative freedom found in television drama. In 2012, she took on a major role in the CBS hit Crime Scene Investigation, portraying the intelligent and focused Julie Finley. It was a significant chapter in her career, as she stayed with the procedural until it finally wrapped in 2015, acting as a pillar for the series. This steady role allowed her to evolve with a character while capturing a fresh audience that hadn't seen her legendary work in the 80s or 90s. It reminded the public, especially those who lost track of her, that she remains an elite performer who truly inhabits her characters rather than just playing them. Her character, Julie, was a fascinating mix of tactical brilliance and emotional caution that kept the audience coming back every week. She handled the intense stamina required for long-form television effortlessly, leading to a varied and consistently fascinating career following her time on Crime Scene Investigation. By 2019, she joined the cast of the gritty satire The Boys, playing a ruthless corporate executive managing a stable of superpowered entertainment properties. This sharp, antagonistic role was miles away from her early career, and she played the villain with a perfect blend of wit and terror. After voicing the character in several spin-offs, she launched her own 2021 Netflix project, On the Verge, which she both starred in and wrote. This venture was particularly intimate, allowing her to showcase creative talents that had often remained hidden from the public eye. At one point, she nearly left it all behind for a life in academia, but the pull of her most iconic role was eventually too strong to resist. The true high point of her recent resurgence came when she finally stepped back into the world of martial arts for the hit series Cobra Kai. Fans had been waiting for her return ever since a Season 2 teaser showed a certain Facebook notification popping up on Johnny Lawrence's screen. The excitement was through the roof when she finally made her grand entrance on New Year's Day 2021. Seeing her character reconcile with her old rivals provided a sense of closure that fans had been craving for nearly 4 decades. Those heartwarming scenes were genuine, as reuniting with her former co-stars Ralph and William sparked a wave of deep, unscripted emotion that she hadn't anticipated. The director, who had previously worked with her on a superhero show, was the one who ultimately convinced her to return to the franchise. He made a compelling case that her involvement was necessary to honor the legacy of the film that started it all. Ultimately, she decided not to appear in the final 2024 season, feeling that her character's journey had reached its natural end. She felt that saying goodbye at that moment was the most respectful way to honor the character's legacy. Currently 62, she prioritizes substance over volume, recently starring in the 2020 naval thriller Greyhound alongside Tom Hanks for a global streaming audience. Beside her karate comeback, she appeared in the 2022 biography Super Pumped, playing the mother of Uber's founder in a role that earned quiet praise. By 2023, she was back in the superhero universe, making a memorable appearance in the gritty collegiate spin-off Gen V. Even in a brief appearance, she reminded everyone why her portrayal of a corporate shark was so unsettling and effective. Looking forward, her schedule remains full with the upcoming book adaptation Whaleful, which is in post-production and slated for a 2026 debut. With a sequel and the film Constance on the way, her career is actually accelerating while she celebrates over 30 years of marriage to Davis Guggenheim. Residing in Wilmington with her adult children, she has successfully built a grounded life despite navigating 4 decades in one of the world's most chaotic industries. She finished her Harvard degree in her 30s, named her child after her late brother, and turned her family's pain into a beautiful film. Reappearing in her most famous role at 57, she proved that a career built on substance will always outshine one built on hype. Her journey isn't about being the loudest voice, but about being the most authentic, making her one of the most respected figures in Hollywood. Her journey is truly rare because she never seemed driven by the typical hunger for fame, critical nods, or the pressure of a grand legacy. She has simply made her own way, taking risks and sticking to her principles with a level of grace that is hard to find. This internal compass is exactly what has allowed her to thrive across 5 different decades in a notoriously difficult industry. She went from a teenager in burger commercials to an acclaimed dramatic actress without ever losing her sense of self. Her longevity is a testament to her talent and her refusal to play the fame game. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.